What's fueling it? What's caused it? Good morning, Mr. Cox.
Hello, Nick. Nice to be on your show. Look, I'm very heartbroken about what's happened with Reform at the moment. But unfortunately, what we're seeing is a dictatorship. It's nothing less than a dictatorship. You are thrown under the bus if you criticise anything. And I'm one of those people that have been thrown under the bus, along with people like Ben Habib and now Rupert Lowe.
Why were you thrown under the bus, Mr. Cox? What was your, quotes, crime?
Well, I agree with most of Reform UK's policies. That's why I stood for them, no problem at all. But there's one that I disagree with, and it's the way they've treated Tommy Robinson. And I stood up for Tommy Robinson, and I got 3 or 4 days before I decided to leave the party a text from Richard Tice, who simply said, "Howard, if you continue to support Tommy Robinson, you will be expelled." And this is supposed to be a party of free speech. You don't have to support Tommy Robinson.
I have to say, why would you want to support this convicted criminal? I'm glad you think it's a laughing matter. He nearly prejudiced a trial.
Yes, but we can go on and talk about Tommy
Well,
Robinson.
let's not, because that probably is a separate conversation. But so you're saying you're not allowed to express individual views within the top ranks of Reform. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Cox? We better stay with that conversation.
That's exactly right, Nick. And I along my inbox is flooded with people from branches right across the country, Reform branches, chairmen who've been thrown out, pushed out. In fact, whole complete Reform parties been thrown out. Take Amber Valley, for example. They've now set up, the Amber Valley ex-Reformers have now set up an independent group now. They've just been thrown out.
So what needs to happen to small r, Reform, capital R, Reform, would you say, Mr. Cox?
Well, they've got to actually get rid of the top leadership, and particularly Zia Youssef. Ever since he's been in there, it's gone downhill in terms of motivation and the way that the optimism for the party.
But Mr. Cox, we checked this morning, 218,986 members and a 14% share. That's not going downhill, is it?
Well, I don't believe those figures. I don't think they're actually highlighting the people. In my inbox, I know for a fact at least 500 have left in the last week since the Rupert Lowe affair. And I'm one of them. And I'm afraid it is totally and utterly wrong what's happening. We need Reform to get their act together and start being professional and allow free speech.
Enjoyed our conversation. Good to have you on again, Howard. Thank you. Howard Cox, you ran as a Reform UK candidate for the Mayor of London. You will have been disappointed to come in 5th, but you did far better in the general election in Dover, in Kent, where you came in 2nd. Listening to that is Gawain Towler, who's a former advisor to Nigel Farage as leader of Reform UK and the Brexit Party and UKIP, and is a close friend of Mrs Farage's and joins me now. How do you see this row playing out, Gawain? Good morning.
I think we're getting... Good morning indeed, Nick. I think we're getting to the point that the train is going to move on pretty damn soon.
What does that mean?
What it means is we seem to have sort of parked at a siding and started shouting at each other. But I think the end of that is happening. If, as Mr Farage said yesterday, there's no way back, well, there's no way back and the train moves on.
How divisive is Nigel Farage as a party leader?
Well, he's always been Marmite to the country at large. You know that as well as I do, Nick. Mm-hmm. But I think internally... Howard talks about 500 people writing to him saying they've resigned. You mentioned the ticker. It has dropped to about 600, I think, since the weekend. It has.
Right.
About 600 out of 220,000. One MP's office that I was speaking to had received a number of emails from people saying, we resign. They then checked who these people were. None of them were party members. An awful lot of this online fuss and the attacks on Farage and the party are coming from people who are not actually members of the party. Now, there are members of the party who are upset. I was speaking to 260 in Norfolk on Friday when this story broke, and people were, of course, discontented, discombobulated by it. But it is an odd time to launch an attack on a failing party leader that has taken the party from 14% in July on election day to 27, 28, that is now challenging regularly above the other parties. But it's an odd time to attack a party for failure, or the party leadership for failure, when it's gone from 30,000 members 7 months ago to 220,000 members now. But it just seems you normally attack a party leader when things are falling off the cliff.
Well,
people attacking a party leader when things are going really well does seem odd.
Well, are they going well? Because last year, Gawain, of course, the party has gone from 5 to 4.
Well, that's not ideal.
Well, yes, but if there are this many rows when there are just 5, if the idea you were to go to the Conservative, which from memory is about 120 or 130, I mean, it just is impossible. I mean, even the Lib Dems, I think, are in the high 70s. You'll never or not you, I'm so sorry. Reform would never manage that.
I think what we're going to find is, come the next general election, you're going to have them and superb, in fact, probably the best candidates ever, or no, at least 100 years, the best selection, the most diverse, the most successful.
But it'll be fight night. It will be fight night every night if that many Reform MPs or local councillors actually taste power.
I don't think so, because I think that what we've had just now is there's a frustration about speed and delivery. If you read Rupert's article and the interview he gave to the Mail,
I did.
It was about things like we need a policy platform. Well, these things don't happen overnight. That policy platform is in development. You can't. But if you're a chief executive, you're the sort of person that Rupert is, you expect things to happen now.
To Sylvie in Addiscombe. Might I ask, are you a Reform member or supporter? Good morning.
Yes, I am actually. Yes, indeed.
OK. What attracted you to the party?
Well, I thought the Tories were not doing a very good job.
The whole country did, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Labour, I didn't think they had very good policies. So I thought, well, let's give them a go. They seem to be middle of the road. I don't think they're far right at all, because I wouldn't join anything far right to begin with. But I thought Mr Lowe was a nice gentleman to begin with. But there was a Labour MP on television recently who said that he's a very rude person. He came across the House of Commons and shoved a Labour person that was in the House of Commons, and I think they were glad to get rid of him from the football club or something. So, and of course, I think he wants Tommy Robinson. I think that's been the problem, really.
Right. So, I mean, it does get quite aggressive, and I'm not supporting this sort of behaviour, but these are sort of fairly charged individuals, aren't they, who pretty much want things to go their own way. Isn't that the reality, Sylvie? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I used to go there a lot because I used to work for an MP and everything and used to burn the weather all right, so I used to go there for ages. But it was a bit better then. But, I mean, you don't go across and shove somebody, do you? Let's be quite frank. Yes. And he said he's a rude man, and I have heard things about him. So I don't think he's a saint, to be honest. I think it's this Tommy Robinson business that's the problem.
All right. Sylvie, thank you. Obviously, Mr Lowe is not here to defend himself. This is something that Sylvie has heard and has picked up on television. And Mr Lowe, if you're listening, call me at any time. John's in Wallington. John, I've got a note. You are in Reform. Is that correct? Good morning.
Yes, I am.
Why? What attracted you, sir?
Because the Conservative Party are not Conservative and Reform are.
Right. And what does that mean? A couple of snappy sentences. What do the credentials that they have?
What it means is that no Conservative Party that's voted in to cut immigration and stop illegal immigration lets almost 1 million people in 12 months.
No, right, OK.
Right,
Thank
so
you for
they're
doing
Lib
that.
Dems, really. They should hold their hands up, dissolve the party, and let the true patriots come to Reform.
Right.
And let the rest of them go and join the Lib Dems.
How worried are you about what appears to be this row within Reform?
I'm not worried about it at all. Honestly, Nick. I'm really not. Nobody I know that supports us is either.
If the party can't keep 5 people together, how on earth do you think they might keep 50, 150, or whatever they might seek to grow to? It's going to be an impossibility.
No, it's not. It's not. It's just, look, it's 2 high-profile members of the party that are having a row.
Right.
And it will blow over, I promise you.
Right.
And we are so looking forward to contesting the coming election. And by the way, may I just say, Nick, we are projected to take Wales next year.
Well,
so
how on earth?
A long time.
How on earth would the good folk of the Principality cope if you're just rowing not you personally, if the Reform Party members are just rowing at the Senate, are just rowing all the time?
Look, the truth is, Nick, it's only a row. It's only Rupert that's rowing, and some people have left. About 600. Gawain spoke very well.
But lastly, John, there is. Let me put it another way. Can you see there is a track record that follows Mr Farage of a degree of divisiveness and parties that seem to turn in on themselves? Brexit, Reform, yes? Hello?
Not really.
You don't
Not really.
See that?
He's a great leader, and he will lead Reform to Downing Street. I promise you that.